Life has a way of surprising us, often in the most unexpected ways. If you had told me a few years ago that I would spend 2 months in a nursing home at the age of 77, I would have laughed it off. It was never in my plans, never something I thought I would experience so soon. But fate, as it often does, had its own lessons in store for me. What was supposed to be a temporary stay turned into a transformative period of reflection, observation, and wisdom. It was in that place, surrounded by people who had lived long lives filled with joys and regrets, that I learned some of the most profound truths about life, aging, and what truly matters in the end. The loneliness that no one talks about. Before I stepped foot in that nursing home, I had a very different perception of aging. I imagined it as a quiet, peaceful phase of life where people were surrounded by their loved ones, basking in the warmth of a life well lived. What I found was something quite different. Loneliness was the most pervasive illness in that place, one that no medication could cure. I met people who hadn't had a visitor in months, sometimes years. Their children were too busy, their friends had passed on, and life had moved on without them. I sat down with a man named George, an 82-year-old who had been in the nursing home for over 5 years. His face lit up when I spoke to him, but there was an unmistakable sadness in his eyes. I used to have so many friends, he told me. We'd play poker on Fridays, go fishing on Sundays. And then, one by one, they were gone. My kids moved to different states. They call sometimes, but it's not the same. His words haunted me. I realized then that the relationships we build in our younger years are what sustain us when we grow old. Yet, so many of us prioritize work, success, and financial stability over genuine human connections. I thought back to the times I had chosen work over dinner with friends, emails over family gatherings. How many people had I let slip away because I was too busy? If there is one thing I could change, it would be this: would have spent more time nurturing relationships instead of chasing things that, in the end, didn't matter as much as I thought they did. Health is the ultimate wealth. Money. We spend our entire lives chasing it. We equate success with financial abundance, with the accumulation of wealth and possessions. But sitting in that nursing home, I met a man named Richard, who had been a multimillionaire in his prime. He owned luxury cars, traveled to exotic places, and had more money than he knew what to do with. But now, he was bedridden, unable to eat without assistance, his wealth meaningless in the face of his declining health. "If I could trade all my money for 10 more years of good health, I would," he whispered to me one evening. His words resonated with me deeply. I had always believed that financial security was the key to a good life. But what is wealth if you don't have the strength to enjoy it? I thought back to the times I had ignored my body's signals, the skipped workouts, the fast food dinners, the endless stress. I had taken my health for granted, assuming that it would always be there, but the reality is, our bodies are like fragile machines. If we don't take care of them, they will break down sooner than we expect. If I could go back, I would treat my body like the most valuable asset I own. I would exercise more, eat healthier, and stress less. Because in the end, a strong body and a clear mind are worth more than any amount of money in the bank. The weight of unforgiveness. One of the most heart-wrenching stories I heard was from a woman named Margaret. She had been in the nursing home for over 7 years, and in all that time, she had never had a visitor. When I asked her about her family, she looked away and sighed. "I had a sister," she said, her voice trembling. "We had a falling out over something so small, I don't even remember what it was. We stopped talking. Years passed. And then one day, I heard she had passed away. I never got the chance to say I was sorry. Her regret was palpable. It weighed on her like a heavy stone she carried every day. I realized then that forgiveness is not about the other person, it's about freeing ourselves. Holding on to grudges only chains us to the past, preventing us from fully living in the present. I made a decision that day. I would forgive. Not for them, but for me. Because peace is worth more than pride. The simple joys we overlook. There was an elderly woman named Helen who, despite her frail body, always had a smile on her face. One day, I asked her, "What's your secret to happiness?" She chuckled. "I don't think about what I lost. I enjoy what I still have." Her words hit me like a revelation. We often chase happiness in big milestones, promotions, expensive vacations, major achievements, when in reality, happiness is in the simple things. A warm cup of tea on a cold morning. A heartfelt conversation. The sun on your skin. I had spent so much of my life looking for happiness in the distance that I had overlooked the joy that was right in front of me all along. Every day is a gift. One morning, I woke up to hear that a man named Henry had passed away in his sleep. Just the night before, he had been laughing with us at dinner, sharing stories from his childhood. And then, in an instant, he was gone. That moment changed me. It made me realize how fragile life is, how none of us are promised tomorrow. We spend so much time worrying about things that don't matter, putting off the things we truly want to do. One day becomes never, and before we know it, it's too late. The biggest lesson I learned? Live while you still can. Don't wait for the perfect time to enjoy life. It doesn't exist. The perfect time is right now. Final thoughts. 2 months in a nursing home changed me in ways I never expected. It showed me that life is not measured in years, but in moments. It's shaped by the choices we make every single day. Some people I met had no regrets, they had lived fully, loved deeply, and found peace. Others wished they had done things differently. Aging is not about how many years you have left, it's about how you spend the ones you do. I no longer fear getting older, but I do fear wasting time. So, if you're reading this, no matter how young or old you are, remember this: don't wait until it's too late to cherish your health, nurture your relationships, and live with purpose. Because when you're sitting in a room with nothing but memories, you'll wish you had made more of them. Life is short. Live with meaning. Love without hesitation. And above all, never take a single day for granted.